How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about an issue that I brought to the table about 2 years ago, almost to the day. In April 2017, I was speaking about the Confederate statues and how they're being removed all over the country. And I was like, okay, the so-called progressives aren't going to stop here. They're going to go further. They're going to go into George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson, the American flag. They're going to do all those things. And I was reading some of the comments. They were saying, oh, you're exaggerating, you're projecting. They're not going to do all that. They're trying to get rid of the losers. They don't want to have the losers out there talking about the Confederate stuff. Oh, they don't want the losers. I know what I'm talking about. And now I have been vindicated. I've been proven right yet again. Not to gloat, just saying. What I'm going to do right now before I continue with the video is show you a clip. This is news about Hofstra University and also George Washington University. See who they're going to remove from their campus. See how surprised or not surprised you are. I'll talk about what was said, and then I'll come back, give you my 2 cents, wrap it on up with a nice bow on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
2 universities are seeking to take down statues or names or representations of founding fathers. So students at it's at Hofstra University are demanding, yes, that Thomas Jefferson statue there be taken down. It's called the Jefferson's Gotta Go protester movement. It's the second year there. They're trying to take down the statue of the guy who wrote the Declaration of Independence. And George Washington University students just voted over 50% to remove and replace their mascot, George Washington, the Colonial.
They call him George the Colonial, the mascot at the basketball games and all the rest. So you want to take George Washington out of George Washington University. Explain to me, how does that work?
Okay, so you see what's going on. You see what's happening. Now, didn't I tell you this 2 years ago? Didn't I say this? I'm like, okay, once they're trying to get rid of the Confederate statues and having success with that, they're going to start thinking, okay, let's not stop here. We're progressives after all. Let's go after the American flag. Let's go after Mount Rushmore. Let's go after Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, anybody we can. Let's find any kind of thing that we don't like about them to remove them. And this is pretty clear. This is easy. I mean, Thomas Jefferson and Washington were both slave owners. So that's, that's a slam dunk, easy. And then the American flag, people don't like that too much. People don't like my hat because it had 1776 on the Starfield. And they're thinking, oh, well, you were still enslaved back then. First of all, I was never a slave. I mean, I was born free, remain free, never been in jail, never been arrested, nothing. So I've never been a slave. OK, my ancestors went through slavery. But the point of the 1776 is to remember when America gained its independence, when she became a free country. And after that point, we had a lot of trials and tribulations we had to overcome, a lot of bumps in the road. Now, I'm not trying to downplay slavery, obviously, but we got past that. We got beyond that. We got to a much more cohesive society. It's not perfect, but what country on earth is perfect? OK, we accomplished a lot. We got through a lot. A lot of our ancestors died, slave, non-slave people that got conscripted into war. A lot of different people had to sacrifice a lot. The ultimate sacrifice, just make this country what it is right now today, which is why you can't be trying to hide history. Keep the Confederate statues out there, Robert E. Lee, or whoever you want. Keep them out there. What's the point in removing the statues? I really don't understand. Why? Because they're so-called racist? Does it hurt your feelings? I think it was just kind of a cool wave at a certain point to be against the statues. You could be a privileged kid from a nice background, 2-parent household, picket fence, the dog. I'm not hating on that. Ain't nothing wrong with that because that is the American dream after all. But the point I'm making is that you could come from that kind of environment and then go to college campuses and pretend like you didn't, pretend like you're part of the so-called struggle. I'm seeing all these spoiled rich kids co-opt the Black Power fist. It's like, when did that happen? Okay. And they're trying to use it for subversive movements that won't do anything to help anybody in America. All it will help is their personal feelings. It'll help their ego. It'll make them feel better, but it won't help any of us. When you remove these statues from the Confederacy, all it's going to do is just cloud history. People like Ralph Northam, the blackface and or KKK costume governor, allegedly. He says we should remove the Confederate statues off of public property and put them away in a museum. Why do you want to hide it? Why not leave them right where they are? I can go to a public place the same as a museum. So why make me go through an extra step? Why can't I just see that out in the street? It's a way for them to hide history, for them to say, oh, well, the Confederacy, they were fighting for slavery and that was it. That's not even really the truth. Yes, it was a big part of it, but if the Confederacy was fighting for slavery and the Union was fighting against slavery, then why did the Union also have slaves all throughout the entire war? Even after they told the South to free their slaves. See, in 1863, you have the Emancipation Proclamation from Abraham Lincoln. All this said was that slaves that are in states who are in quote unquote rebellion, AKA the Confederacy, those slaves must be freed, but not the North. They still kept their slaves until after slavery. And people talking about, oh, well, the North only had a handful of slaves. It wasn't really a big deal. Well, in one of the 5 states the North had slaves in, Kentucky, 60,000 slaves were freed in 1865, which was a full 2.5 years after the emancipation. So I'm not really trying to hear all this stuff. But see, people don't know that. People don't know that fact. And that's the reason why you got to have these statues out there. And then trying to remove George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. I mean, it's absurd. You're talking about the founding fathers. Without them, there would be no US of A. George Washington led the army against the greatest army ever over on the Kingdom of Great Britain. Because let's not forget, at one point, we were a colony of them. We gained our independence. And then from there, we were able to press forward in the world and society and become the best country on planet Earth. We got to celebrate that rather than trying to hide away from it. I think that these kids on these campuses have been taught a certain thing all throughout their lives, maybe from their parents, from their teachers in elementary school, middle school, high school, and now into college. One of my viewers called into the show, ABL Live, and told me one of the first things they got told in this class, I forget what it was, but if you remember, caller, let me know in the box. One of the first things they were taught is about white privilege. Because the person was white, the teacher was saying, because you're white, you're privileged by even being here. Because there could be a so-called person of color where you sit rather than you. So when you're told things like that from your teachers, from people that have so-called authority over you, it's hard for a lot of these kids to go any other direction. They've been indoctrinated. So I'm here to reverse that indoctrination and to tell you guys, whoever is listening, that all that stuff is false. Don't believe the hype. Is America perfect? No. Was it perfect back then? No. But we came a long way. We made a lot of strides. There is no country that is perfect on planet Earth. That is the truth. That doesn't mean that every country must burn away their history. You got to understand your history so you know not to repeat it. You got to understand your history to have a blueprint of how to go forward. Understand why we had the Constitution. Understand why we have certain laws in the books. Once you understand certain things for what they are and the true purpose is, then you'll be able to understand how to better go forward. Because let's not forget, human beings have been here for quite a while on planet Earth. And while there may be a lot of new things we have in today's society that were not available in the society of yesterday, that does not mean that humanity has changed all that much. And a lot of things you're thinking about, a lot of your ideas you have already been thought of before. So look back on history, see what happened there, study it, examine it. Don't try to hide it or push it away. It just because it makes you feel good. That's not the way to go about it, because what it's going to end up doing as I close is leave you in a more confused state. You don't know what's going on. You don't know how you got here. That's called being lost. So that's pretty much all I got. What say you? Do you think that the statue of Thomas Jefferson and the mascot of George Washington should be removed from their respective campuses? If so, please explain to me why. I mean, what is that really going to do? What is the purpose? And then where does it stop? Like I said last time in the Confederate statues video, this ain't going to be the end. It's only the beginning. Right now they're saying, let's get rid of that. What's next? The American flag, like stars and stripes, the colors red, white, and blue. Can I not wear that anymore? You're going to come take my flags behind me? From my cold dead hands, you will. But how do you feel about what I said here? I'm on point, off point, whatever your comments are. Please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.